Welcome to the first episode of the Oracles of Eye Innovation podcast, a mashup of the Med Device podcast, The Business of Eye Innovation, and the Oracles of Eye Innovation webinar series that launched in 2020. With this new podcast, we turn our attention to the entrepreneur's journey. Why? Because behind every innovation is a person with an idea who chooses to develop and push that innovation forward. More interestingly, each entrepreneur's journey is unique, from those who always knew that this was their path to the accidental entrepreneurs who find themselves following a path that they never expected. For our first Oracles podcast, we talked to Jean-Pierre Hubschman, co-founder and CEO of Horizon Surgical Systems, a pioneering company developing Polaris, an image-guided, AI-enabled robotic surgical platform with cataract surgery as its first application.
So Jean-Pierre Hubschman, I go with JP. I mean, when I moved to the US, everybody started to call me JP, so I'll go with JP. JP Hubschman, I'm an eye surgeon, retinal surgeon. I was trained in Europe. I did my residency and fellowship in Lille and then Marseille. Was then in private practice in France and Spain for 7 years, in the southwest part of France and the north part of Spain. And then I was recruited to UCLA in 2006, became faculty at the Stein Eye, part of the retina division. And my activity as every faculty there was split between seeing patients during surgery, teaching, and research. And when I arrived at UCLA in 2006, it was the Cassit Center, which is a center of innovation. They just bought the Da Vinci platform, which is, as probably most of you know, the first FDA-approved robotic platform for laparoscopic surgery. And so it was a Da Vinci platform from Intuitive. I started to play with it, realized the huge potential for ophthalmology, and build a team around Robotic, and we started in 2007, and then we spun off the program out of UCLA 4 years ago in 21, and I decided at the time to leave UCLA and became full-time CEO of the company, Horizon Surgical Systems. So it's here in 1 minute my resume or background.
Since for more than 20 years, that's pretty impressive. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about having a dual career of ophthalmology and engineering, but I want just backing up because I read your paper you published on your experience of converting the Da Vinci for ophthalmology usage. And if I remember correctly, the initial attempts were not successful.
Yeah, that's correct. So I've been always interested in surgical techniques and surgical instrumentation, and I was recruited to UCLA, part of that experience or expertise, I would say. And so when I came, as I said before, at the Cassit, I discovered this Da Vinci platform, which is dedicated for laparoscopic surgery. And for a year, we used it for eye surgery, but we realized very early on that the design of the platform was perfect for laparoscopic surgery, but not good for eye surgery for multiple reasons. I mean, the quality of the visualization system and even the mechanical design of the platform itself. There is, between the belly, which is a big space, and the eye, which is a tiny, tiny organ, there's a lot of difference. And so reaching the precision we needed, reaching the level of visualization we needed, and also being able to access a tiny place with two instruments close to each other was something just impossible to achieve with the Da Vinci platform. So we started with the Da Vinci. It took us some time to understand why the Da Vinci could not work for eye surgery, because none of us were experienced in robotic or understand the mechanical limitation or the need or the specification needed for eye surgery. So it took some time, but then we started to design our platform from scratch, evaluating the need, understanding the specificity of eye surgery, and designing something dedicated for eye surgery. So we had our initial Iris platform, we call it Iris at the time. And it was a proof of concept. And initially we were focusing on retinal surgery because I'm a retinal surgeon, and because we thought that robotic was the main advantage of value of robotic was to bring precision, higher precision. The hand of the surgeon are about 100 micron precision, while robotic technology can reach like less than a micron precision. So we were focusing on retinal surgery, developing this initial proof of concept for retinal surgery. And over the years, the team, which was like 3 people initially, became like bigger and bigger, bringing some different expertise in visualization, AI, software, robotic, and we pivoted pretty much 10 years ago towards cataract surgery. The reason is cataract. We realized that cataract was a better market, the better initial go-to-market to demonstrate the full potential of this technology. And so 10 years ago, we pivoted. But it's what we are building is a platform, meaning even if we focus initially on cataract, this platform will eventually help surgeons do a better job in glaucoma, retina, and so on. So we started with the Da Vinci, and then I would say in 2008 or 2009, we decided to design a dedicated platform for eye surgery. And over the time, the generation and the design have evolved. And now we have what we call the Polaris platform, which is like an amazing, fully integrated platform, which will really benefit surgeon and patient in the near future.
It's an amazing journey, and I notice that your career has sort of taken two parallel paths, and that you're an ophthalmologist and you're an engineer. And in fact, at UCLA, you taught on, if I understand correctly, on both faculties.
Yeah, so I'm not a trained engineer, meaning I've never trained as an engineer. So I'm board certified in ophthalmology. I'm a retinal surgeon and so on. For engineering, I was professor in the engineering department because I was teaching students about robotic translation of the technology. And I have some understanding after all those years in robotic visualization, and so I have some basic knowledge in engineering. But what I was not teaching at UCLA, like the core of engineering. So I have enough understanding to guide the engineering team and to understand what technology we need to integrate in this platform. And I've been interacting with engineers for the last 15 years, and really enjoy that kind of interaction and collaboration. But I'm not an engineer by training, but I was part of the engineering department at UCLA. It's true.
Okay. So you've pivoted from retina towards cataract surgery now. This is not the first attempt to create a robotic system for cataract surgery. And I know in conversations, in fact, I had one over the weekend at the ASCRS meeting about, is there really a need to improve outcomes, to improve precision in cataract surgery? Because for the most part, there's we have low complication rates, et cetera. Yep. So what is the argument for creating a robotic system? And does it really create a shift in the dynamic of how the procedure is done?
Yeah, so yes, I mean, it's a very good question. And it's true that it's interesting because 10 years ago, when I was talking to my colleagues about the robotic platform I was building, everybody was telling me, you are crazy, it won't work, we don't need it. Yeah, go, but I mean, nobody needs you. 5 years ago, people realized, okay, that's going to work, the technology will work, but we don't need you. And now at the RSRS, or over the last year or two, I've seen the shift. Now people understand that it's not just robotic, but robotic and AI, the combination of those two things will really change how we do everything. And so robotic was improving precision, but robotic and AI can really help us process the information, identify things the human eye cannot, react faster, integrate multimodal imaging at the same time while human surgeons look at one image at the time. So, and you've seen in your everyday life how AI is changing everything. Look at the autonomous car. Like uh, 5 years ago, I mean, you had to touch the steering wheel and to do most of the thing. Now when you are in LA or in other big cities, you have the Waymo where there is nobody sitting at the steering wheel, meaning it takes time to bring automation to the market. However, surgeon will see with this technology we are developing that it will help them not just achieve better outcomes, but also improve the efficiency and so on. And so in cataract, I agree with you that the bar is really high. There is low rate complication rate. However, I'm convinced that AI with robotic will help even the great surgeon, the best surgeon, to achieve a better job, more efficiency, and so on. And I'm not sure if you've seen the Elon Musk post last weekend. He said that surgical robotic will be better than most surgeons in a few years and will be better than the best surgeon in 5 years. So Elon Musk he's obviously an amazing innovator. He's been super successful. Sometimes he's a little bit too optimistic in his timeline, but I know the technology and I can tell you for sure this is coming. It's not a question of if, this is a question of when. And this technology is coming, will help surgeon. It won't replace surgeon, but it will help surgeon even in cataract where it's improving. Where the complication rate is low, it will even reduce more the complication rate, and it will help surgeon do many more surgeries per day and address the cataract market, which is growing. And the number of cataract surgeons is, every year we have less cataract surgeon trained in the US. It takes 10 years to train a cataract surgeon. While this system can be trained very quickly, they will learn from every single surgery, millions of surgery, while a human surgeon learn only from his own experience. And so this platform, this technology will become much better than we are.
I have to say that having just spent a week in LA, that there's a glimpse of the future there with not only the Waymo cars, which is the first time you see it's very odd, but also the streets the sidewalks are now very busy with robot delivery systems, and it works very well. But it's quite strange to see these little creatures sort of, crossing the street by themselves and witnessing traffic and knowing when to stop, and it's quite amazing. But there's a large majority of ophthalmologists who are surgeons who may think, well, I don't want to be replaced, and there is a thought
replaced.
that and I think this is something this is what people need to understand better.
Yes,
is how does it integrate?
The number of surgery, they will be able to focus on what's interesting and where they bring value. So look at the refractive, like the arcade 15, 20 years ago. Everyone was using a blade, cutting the cornea, and that was the way to go to refractive surgery. And then LASIK came, and in a few years, this technology, which is providing superior, consistent outcomes, help surgeon achieve better and patient get better outcomes. It will be the same thing for cataract. And by the way, regarding cataract, when we look at the best surgeon, the 20% of super skilled and experienced surgeon, very low complication rate. That's not the case for everyone. I mean, I am a retina surgeon, meaning I see complication from surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are surgeons where you never see any patient from because they don't, they are really skilled. Some other, it's not the same. So the point I want to make is the rate of complication really depends on skills and expertise, and all surgeons are not equal. And this technology will help every surgeon achieve a better job and do many more cases per day, but it won't replace them. They will be focusing on more complex surgery, on other type of surgery. They will still be there to select which patient can benefit from this and so on. And so there's still a lot of work for surgeon. It's not replacing them, it's helping them.
Right. The there have been previous attempts to create something for cataract surgery. And and when FemCat lasers came on, everybody said, "Okay, this is it. This is the automation of cataract surgery," and it hasn't panned out that way. Other companies have attempted to go down this route. What is necessary? Is it that combination of bringing in AI technology that has the ability to learn and adjust and evolve on a quicker basis that will make the difference?
So I think that it's different things. First of all, I've been for the last 15 years pushing on developing a fully integrated platform, meaning not just like a better arm, which is improving precision, or better camera, which is improving visualization. I think that if you want really to bring value to the cataract market, you need to be able to do the whole cataract surgery completely. And so Femto has brought to market some surgical steps, but disrupted the workflow, slowed down surgeons. So it was bringing some value, but it was not super well integrated in the workflow and the surgery centers and everything. What we are designing is a platform where we'll do the whole cataract surgery in the same room and helping surgeon improve the efficiency and the workflow. And so I think that you really need to take the whole cataract surgery as one thing and not just help for one part of it. If you want to be widely adopted and really bring value to surgeon and patient and surgery centers, you need to improve efficiency. That's where we need to go. I mean, improving outcomes, but improving efficiency. And so Femto has not delivered as expected.
Right. So, what sparked your interest, your decision to go from practicing clinician to entrepreneurship?
Um, Interesting question. So I've been thinking of myself for a long time as somehow an entrepreneur and an innovator. And so I was faculty. I mean, in France, I was running a private practice, and then at UCLA, I was obviously faculty academic environment, and I loved it. But I always had some kind of me interested in entrepreneurship. And so we've been, developing this technology for a while, and at some point, the technology had enough maturity, and it was some interest from investors and so on to think about, okay, do we keep it as a research program, and most likely it's going to take 20 years and to develop something, and it won't most likely reach the market and help surgeon and patient, or we take a risk and we spin off and we accelerate the development and so on. And so it has been really a difficult decision because, as I said, I really loved my job at UCLA. I love teaching fellows and working with my colleagues, and it was great. But at the same time, I realized if I really want to bring this to market, I need to do it myself and to bring the team, the UCLA team of engineers, bioengineers, and so on to kind of move on. And so we decided to spin off. I decided to take the lead. To be honest with you, the first year was super tough. I never thought that it would be that difficult, and I was not like skilled for it or experienced for it, and uh, I thought that it would be uh, okay. And the first year I realized between the investor, the board member, the team members, and so on, that it was a super difficult job. Now, after a few years, I think that I improved, I learned, and now I really enjoy it. And I can see the progress of the technology. We have built an amazing team, and there's a huge momentum. And so now it's really coming to a point where we are getting there. And so it's super, you know, I'm super I would say um, I like it very much, and so everything's going well. So, but it has been super difficult, very very difficult.
What's the most eye-opening aspect of becoming an entrepreneur? The one thing that you, looking back now, you say, I wish I had studied that at university, or I wish I had taken a course for. What's the thing that sort of kicked your butt the hardest?
So, I left a very prestigious and safe position at UCLA and started this company with, as I said, no skills. Now, I don't think that you can learn those skills at school. I mean, to be honest, I don't think that even if I had done some business school or something, I don't think that I would have been ready for it. I think that you you learn on the fly. What was very difficult to me was um, the insecurity, I would say, the fact that the first year was difficult. I mean, every night I was like waking up and thinking maybe tomorrow we'll be dead, and that was very difficult from the world as an eye surgeon, where I knew that I had patients, they were coming. I mean, everything was, nothing could happen to me. And in this new world, you realize that everything can happen to you every day. So it's like you put yourself at risk every day. And so uh, that was the difficult part initially. But now that we have a team, and things are going well, and I don't have to prove myself as I had initially. I mean, when you start something, everybody's wondering, I mean, can he do the job? And when I'm looking back at myself 4 years ago, I would have wondered the same thing. I mean, can he do the job? And so
Yeah, it's interesting that we were in the process of hiring somebody in our company, and one of the comments of the board was, "Well, this person doesn't have any managerial experience." And my comment was, "I'm a journalist by training, neither did I. You figure it out. You learn on the fly, as you say."
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's one of the, but I think that's one of the key traits of people who are successful entrepreneurs, is that willingness to accept that you don't know anything, everything you're going to have to learn on the fly, and some days are going to be genuinely hard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think that you need to be a quick learner. You need to be
Mm-mm.
super committed. You need to be, all, as you just mentioned, the people I hire in the team. I think that the person itself, even more than the knowledge, um, the quality of the person. I mean, if it's someone we can rely on, like someone who is committed, who is trustable. I mean, it's critical, and more than their experience, because you can learn that on the fly. I mean, as soon as you're a quick learner.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. When we were communicating, corresponding back and forth, one of the things I said I wanted to talk to you about was the difference between France and the U.S. in terms of entrepreneurship. Now, when I moved to France, it was around the time Sarkozy was president. He started, he pushed for entrepreneurship, and there are more mechanisms for that, but it's still not a natural fit
Yeah.
uh, for France. So, could you see yourself starting this company in France, or did it always completely make sense to do
Yeah.
Horizons in the U.S.?
I would say that. There's a lot of potential in France. I mean, when you look at the quality of the engineers there, or the mathematician, or the doctors, I mean, they are really good people. They are like smart, and there's a lot of the education and so on. It's pretty good. However, to start a business in France, in the academic environment, is almost impossible, because getting funding. Let's say when I started at UCLA, first of all, UCLA funded my research, even if I didn't, you know, demonstrate any skills in the past or anything. They gave me some money to start. And then as a faculty, I was able to attract some money from donors, and then to get some NIH grant and so on. Meaning, when you have something and you work hard and there's some potential for the technology you are developing, there is ways to attract money from again from private, public, whatever. In France, I don't have the same experience because I was, in private practice in France and then Spain, but I have many friends who've been professor in different hospitals in France. And when I talk to them, it's very difficult to attract money. And when you attract money, it's not the same numbers. At UCLA, I was able over the years to bring in few $1 million through the NIH and other funding sources. In France, if you get like, let's say a few $1,000s or $100,000, or that's I would not say it's a lot of money, but it's very difficult to attract money. Now, if you're in the private sector and you have, let's say, you have an idea and there are startups. I mean, the government help, but not with the same um, at the same level. And I think that it's difficult. It's much more difficult there. The Horizon program in France would have not been possible because it's a very expensive program, and something like this, unless you've demonstrated already two or three companies successful exit, people would not fund your program the same way. So I think that's my feeling. No, I'm not. I left France a long time ago.
Hmm.
I'm not sure exactly how it works now, but my experience and what I've heard from my friends who are there, it's difficult to get funding. And even when you have a startup, the level of funding you can get through VCs or family offices in France is very different from what you get here in the US. I mean, here, if you have some track record and you have something, I mean, with potential, you can not easily, but you can get access to money. There, it's much more difficult.
Yeah, I think that's true. We in the network that we're in Strasbourg and NextMed, there were two companies that went down in the past 2 years, and it was a case of finding the appropriate funding, but also moving quickly enough to commercialization, which is
Yeah,
one of the key challenges we see in France today,
yeah.
is getting out of that R&D stage and over into the commercialization stage. Um, so from your standpoint, you have moved. I think my perception is anyway that Horizons has moved quite quickly. So how do you describe your technology today? Where are you in terms of bringing it into to clinical commercialization? Is it ready for prime time yet, or is there
It's soon.
still a
It's very,
road to
very,
go?
very soon. So I cannot share too much, but what I would
Yeah.
say is the 15 years of incubation at UCLA allowed us, when we spun off, to be super productive and efficient because we knew exactly at the time what was the unmet need, what eye surgery meant, and what type of technology we needed to address this. And so we've been able right away to design the platform which would be successful. And we didn't have to redesign, the robotic arm 3 times or the visualization to understand what we need and so on. So we've been, and everyone recognized this, all investors and the community. Now, I cannot share too much things, but I can tell you that it's coming most likely sooner than most people think. So we will be in clinical trial soon, and the technology will be launched within the next few years, but sooner than people think.
Which is exciting because
Yeah,
we may finally get to see a robotic cataract surgery system after
yeah,
so many years of talking about it.
yeah, exactly. But again, I would like to make sure that surgeons understand that we are not trying to replace them, and we won't
Mm.
be replacing them. We are bringing a technology which will allow them, at the end of the day, not to be too tired, to have done many more cases with better outcomes. So it's really helping patients, surgeons, surgery center in their everyday work and get better outcome and better efficiency. So it's not like we we need surgeon.
Yes,
Okay, we need surgeon.
I fully agree. Uh, so, final words. What would be your advice to a doctor with an idea, a surgeon with an idea for a device, and they're contemplating taking this on and becoming putting on an entrepreneur hat and moving forward? What's your best piece of advice?
So before, I mean, there are different answers. Number one is before bringing an idea to a company. I mean, before creating a company to develop a product or something, think about it twice because you will take 10 years of your life focusing only on this with there may be some chance of success, but it's not a 2 years or 3 years journey. It's a long journey, and so make sure that the idea is worth developing um, because it takes time. And so one friend of mine gave me the analogy of you get 10 checks, each check is 1 year of your time. So it's not money, it's time. And so are you willing for this idea to give 10 years of your life? And so the journey, you need to enjoy the journey. It's not like the outcome. I mean, you really need to enjoy what you are doing and wake up in the morning and happy to go to work and everything. So the point I want to make is make sure that the idea you are trying to push and make real is worth doing.
Great. Thank you very much, Jean-Pierre Hubschman, for your time today and joining us on the podcast.
You're very welcome. Bye, Christine. Thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this edition of the Oracles of iInnovation podcast. If you have an idea for an upcoming podcast or would like to be interviewed, please contact us at the email address in the podcast show notes. Until next time, I'm your host, Kris Morrill.